Thanks for tuning in to more Rutgers football talk on the Rutgers Football Report, our lads football network, as the Rutgers Scarlet Knights move to 2-0, their first road win of the season, as they take on Delaware on Saturday, an FCS opponent, before the Big Ten schedule kicks off in 2 weeks against Michigan. Ryan Dunleavy joining me once again. So, Ryan, as a Rutgers fan and as a Jet fan, the offense that I had to endure this weekend from my two of my favorite football teams was pretty bad. So I just, I've got hopes for the future. But look, bottom line is Rutgers won the football game, and it's a good win because it's a road win. It's a Power 5 win. And where Rutgers is right now, considering how bad the offense was, they'll take it.
I have good news for you. If you were a Giants fan, the offense wasn't any better either. Yeah. So you were kind of out of luck anyway that you are a New York, New Jersey football fan. Even the Bills lost.
Their offense was pretty bad too. Yeah.
Yeah. Rutgers, look, that was if Greg Schiano drew up how he wants to win a football game, that was it. The offense had no turnovers. The defense and special teams won the game. Adam Korsak is a terrific punter. He's actually a weapon. He's not even a punter.
He's awesome.
He should be called like weapon on the depth chart.
He should be drafted.
Yeah, I mean, you get 2 or 3 punters drafted every year. I mean, look, that was it. That was a classic Greg Schiano, throw it back to the Big East, 2008, 2009, Rutgers win. Offense makes no mistakes, run the ball more than they pass the ball, defense and special teams win the game, block a kick, create some turnovers. I thought the whole game came down to one sequence, right, where that Rutgers is winning 10-7. 14-7. Rutgers win 14-7. They miss a chip shot field goal. It's super deflating. It's like, oh, God, they just had a chance to make this a 2-score game. Boom, first play, force a fumble in the red zone, recover it, give the kicker a second shot at a chippy, 17-7. And in that game, a 10-point lead felt like a 70-point lead.
And interesting you bring that sequence up because I was furious. It's 3rd and 13. Okay. This is college. Okay. You have to be cognizant of it. And I'm not talking about the players, I'm talking about the coaching staff. You are in a game that every point matters, as you said. You are straight down the middle of the field. You call a running play up the gut. You kick the straight field goal through the marks, and you go up the 10. You do not call for your quarterback to throw the ball, and he throws it to the right side, and the hash marks. As soon as I saw the hash marks on the right, I was like, uh-oh. I was not confident because college kickers miss that all the time. And then what did they do after they got the strip sack? They did it again. They threw the ball again to the right side, and they put the kicker on the right hash marks again. So the coaching staff has got to make sure they don't do stupid things like that.
Yeah, I mean, hash marks certainly matter with college kickers. Look, I don't mind it if you're being aggressive to throw the ball to the hashes. If you're being aggressive, they weren't being aggressive. Aggressive. That they were playing for a field goal, but played for a tougher field goal. Not exactly the wisest decision.
And you also brought up a good point about the kicking because we've talked how much we like Adam Korsak. Well, right now he is 4th in the nation in kicking average and 3rd in net. You know how difficult that is to be in top 5 in the nation in college with all the punters out there in both average and net. That's how good he is. And by the way, you know what team leads the nation in turnover margin?
Rutgers.
Yes. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
8-0? Is that what it is?
8-0. Pretty awesome. And that's just what you were saying. And by the way, they are in penalties. They are 8th in the nation, allowing just 27.5 penalty yards a game, and 5th in the nation in total penalties with just 5. So the penalties, the turnovers, the punting, and the defense, it's a beautiful thing.
Look, big picture wise, Rutgers' first goal. They have a lot of goals this season. Their first goal was to go 3-0 in the non-conference. They haven't done that in a long time. It's the easiest way every year to get to a bowl. Should be the two hardest of the three legs to going to 3-0. But as I remember, I was a student there at the time and a student newspaper beat reporter. They lost to Villanova in 2002. And then in 2004, they had the first big win of the Greg Schiano era. They beat Michigan State at home, a game much like that Syracuse game last week. I want to say the final score was like 19-7. They beat Michigan State. They had a defensive touchdown in the game. And they came back and they laid a monster egg against New Hampshire, I think 35-24, something like that, and then ended up not making a bowl that year. They went to their first of the Schiano Bowls the next year in 2005, but that New Hampshire loss really cost them a chance at a bowl in 2004. So is history going to repeat itself? Look, Delaware is a good 1AA program. So that is not the opponent that Greg Schiano would have scheduled if he could have. This is a Chris Ash scheduling game. The programs have a lot of ties, a lot of similarities. Players through the years have left Rutgers to go to Delaware. Coaches through the years have left Rutgers to go to Delaware. So it'll be a very interesting, lively underdog game, I think.
Yeah, the good news is that even though Delaware is a solid FCS program, their best days were a few years back. They've been a couple of games over 500 the last few years, but they haven't really been to the postseason much in the last 5 or 6 years. Not saying that means they're going to walk over Delaware. I completely agree with everything you're saying. The good news is Greg Schiano coached those teams. So he knows. You know how he's probably he'll probably throw on some tape. I want to show you guys this New Hampshire game back in 2002, just so you know what happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. And by the way, Delaware, I'm going to throw the Delaware logo up there. And the reason I'm going to throw the helmet, actually, see, that's the Delaware helmet. Now, in back-to-back weeks, Rutgers is going to take on Delaware with that helmet, and then Michigan with that helmet. And they're very similar. They've got the little, what do you call it? I can't believe I don't even remember. I'm a Michigan fan. They've got that wings. They got the wings. Mm-hmm. And Delaware, the difference is that Delaware has him in more of a light blue and a light yellow. Yeah. Michigan is maize and blue. So very similar.
So let's talk, Greg, for a second about Rutgers' offense, because that is alarming, right? Yes. We're looking at 15 total first downs, 50 rushing yards. I just don't know if that formula can be duplicated in the Big Ten.
No.
If you can win. Now, look, I remember a game a couple years ago in the Ash era where Rutgers got badly outplayed on offense and beat Purdue just as Purdue was starting to turn a corner to be a pretty good team. So it's possible. I don't think it can be done 3 times, which is, again, what you would need to do to get to 6 wins and to a bowl. So they need much better play. They need much better play out of their quarterback, out of their offensive line, just to rely. Even Pacheco, I think I've been more impressed by Kyle Monangai than I have been by Pacheco so far. So they need a much better. I know it looked like Vedral was 22 of 28 passing. That's great, but if the average yards per attempt is 5.2, that's not what I was expecting from Sean Gleason's offense. So they need much more on offense. And we spent so much time last week harping on how good Syracuse's running back was. We need to give Rutgers defense some credit. I mean, they allowed 2.2 yards per carry. That is phenomenal.
Yep. And again, Syracuse at this point was one-dimensional. They have a nice receiver, a playmaker. But other than that, they got two players on offense: the running back, the receiver, and for the most part, they stuffed the running game, and you knew that they knew that that's what they had to do. And Syracuse hit the receiver once, and the very next play they scored the touchdown with the running back. Syracuse made two plays back to back, and that was it the entire game. And also, as bad as it look, Schiano after the game again is talking about how well Vedril's playing, and it's because he's not turning the ball over. I think he even mentioned the stats: 22 of 28. He didn't turn the ball. He's getting everybody lined up properly. All the little things that I guess fans don't really pay attention to. Okay, fine. If he's having such a good game, though, that means the receivers aren't getting open. One or the two is not happening. So if I'm to believe you, and Vedril is not the problem, then we have some major issues outside of Bo Melton with these receivers getting open.
Correct. And the offensive line. Correct.
Yeah, and that we kind of knew. I was expecting. Now, I don't know if the tight ends are not getting involved in the offense. Is this a Gleason thing, or are they also having a hard time getting open? Because I expected more out of the tight ends.
Yeah.
That's the perfect. Isn't that the perfect? Isn't that what you want to do if you're Noah Vedral? Is get the ball to your tight ends because you're not accurate down the field?
Yeah. No. Is Giovanni Haskins a tight end? He's listed.
He's the one that scored the touchdown. Yeah.
Yes.
And by the way, I do give praise to Vedral for missing Melton on the easy. Well, he had an easy touchdown for 30 yards. Missed him completely. And I was pulling my hair out. Very next play, he comes back and throws the touchdown pass to Haskins.
Yeah, well, that's what you expect from a fifth-year senior, right? So, two things. One, how good is my Rutgers institutional memory? 17 years ago, and I was right on the New Hampshire score, 35-24.
Wow. That must have really hurt you.
And I was just off on the Michigan State score the week before. I said 19-7. It was 19-14.
You have some really hurt memories that
I just know Rutgers football. I just peeked ahead. Delaware is 2-0. So
who do they
say
play?
Their best years are behind them, but
who do they play?
I mean, who are they gonna play? They're in the FBS. If I said anybody, are you gonna be impressed? They beat Maine. I don't know. Does that? I mean,
probably.
They didn't beat Michigan.
Where are they? Actually, type in the FCS poll. That's all you should do. See where they're at. I mean, if they're in the top 25, I think it's top 25. Do they have one of those in the FCS?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Maybe they have a top 10.
They're 6.
Okay. Then maybe they're expecting them to be a much better team than this year than their record has indicated the last few years. So that's good. I like that. That's a perfect way to point to that and go, do not underestimate Delaware. Yeah. So I'm happy about that. And it's interesting. You also mentioned the running back situation, because I'm also a little bit. I don't understand. I mean, Pacheco doesn't seem. I don't know if it's Pacheco or the line or Monangai. I know when he gets in there, he's making plays. But again, is that just because what they're calling? Is when Monangai comes in, does the defense not pay as much attention to Monangai? So I'm not sure. It's a small sample size in just 2 games, but it is something that we have to concern ourselves with, because Pacheco is averaging what? Like you said, 2.58 a carry. Not that Monangai is doing much better at 3.00, but he's got the 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. No.
Even though 2 of them were gimmies, but
yeah. Hey. You take the gimmies. Rutgers is in no position to turn down gimmies.
No. And taking a look at the receiving, Cruikshank is the only guy that has more than 3 catches other than Melton. Melton has 15. Cruikshank with 7. And is Youngblood even on the team?
I know. I talked to an NFL scout who thinks Bo Melton is a day 2 pick.
I agree. I think he's that good. That's why
Rutgers
it's a shame.
has had a lot of those. Sanu was a day 2 pick. Leonte Carew.
Kenny Britt
was a first-round pick.
Kenny Britt was, it's amazing what happened to his career. It's like as soon as Kenny Britt was about to become a star, he got hurt. And then that was it. And he never returned. And I don't know.
He had some off-field trouble, too.
That was pretty much the issue. And as far as the defense, Fadokasi is just he's just awesome. I mean, he's going to be. You think he's going to be with the Patriots next year?
He'll be a day 3 pick. Yeah, he'll be a Patriots day 3 pick.
Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, he's been awesome. I still don't think they're getting enough pressure when they need to, but again, especially when you're playing Syracuse and Temple. What do they have? They have, let's see. The good news is, I mean, in all they have 9 sacks, which is nice, but Fadokasi has 3 of them. And the others just, they're okay, but it just seems like, as usual, they have to step up their game in pressure situations, and we'll find that out in a couple of weeks against Michigan. But look, they're better than they were last year on defense at this point. Would you have to agree? And all phases, the only thing that's not better is the offense.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree.
Okay, so we'll hope when we talk next week, there's no downer, because this is actually, in my opinion, and I don't even care about what the schedule says. It's Big Ten football. This is the last game of the season that when you're watching it as a Rutgers fan, you are just like, please don't lose this game. Please don't lose this game, because it's the one game you are supposed to win. And all the other games, I'm not even sure. Maybe they'll be favored by a couple points at home against a couple of these Big Ten teams, but they're not supposed to beat Big Ten teams. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. This is the last game that everybody expects them to win, and if they lose it, it's going to be a killer. So Let's just get through this one.
Those are the expectations you want to have, though.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's hope we talk a little bit more positively about the offense next week, Ryan. I appreciate your time as always. What you got working over there at the Post? You have that story that's out, don't you?
I have 2 stories that are out, NFL-related stories, if any Rutgers fans out there are interested. I think one probably applies to college football, though it's an NFL story. The first I did was a fictional Tom Brady piece on what if Tom Brady was never born, what would football look like? Schematics, contracts, personnel. I thought it was pretty interesting. And then the second one that I think could apply to any level of football is how and when do you know if you have the right coach? Like, you hire him, at that moment you're convinced you hired the perfect guy for your program. You go through the off season, everything's positive, the media loves him, the fans love him, and then the games start, and more than likely in the year 1 of a regime, you're starting to get your teeth kicked in, and you're losing, and the losses are mounting. So how and when do you know if you have the first good right coach? Is it the first year? Is it not until year 2? Is it, at markers along the way? And what do you need to see? I talked to former players about it, talked to 5 or 6 former NFL executives about it, and looked at the data from FB Outsiders. Really a thorough look at how and when you know if you have the right coach before the wins start coming.
Are both of them behind the paywall?
Correct. They are both subscription stories to the Post. So the New York Post has a subscription membership package now. You'll still always get the same great Post coverage you always get in the daily newspaper, but we're doing more additional in-depth analysis reporting, and hope that people will sign up and become a Post Sports Plus member and get the advantages that come with that, like the chat our 3 NFL writers are hosting today on our website. Hosting tomorrow on our website.
Ryan, appreciate it. We'll talk again next week. We'll recap Delaware and take an early look ahead at the Big Ten opener against what looks like is a much improved Michigan team.
And I'll tell a funny Jim Harbaugh story for anybody who wants to hear it. Remind me.
Okay, you got it. We'll do. Thanks, Ryan.
See ya.